Hey everybody, my name is Justin Sahil. I'm the co-owner of Sandhills Real Estate Holdings out of Southern Pines, North Carolina. We've been getting a lot of questions lately about private lending and how we work with our private lenders. So we thought it'd be a value added just to go ahead and create a video that we can share with everybody. Essentially, when we negotiate deals with our private lenders, we will have a specific deal either under contract or that we're working to get under contract, and we will send that property out to our group of private lenders and socialize terms and conditions with them. That will be codified on a promissory note, and that promissory note is provided to our attorney, who, during the closing process, with the deed, records the deed of trust. The deed of trust is what protects the lender's interest in the property. So if something were to happen, the lender could utilize that deed of trust that is recorded with the Register of Deeds to foreclose on the property. And so I think the number one question is, why should we lend? What is the level of protection that we're going to get? How do we know that you're going to pay us back? So there's a lot of questions, especially with newer investors and lenders, and it's completely understandable. The process is, even though it's simple, it's not very well known. And you can think of the process pretty much just in the same way that you would think of how purchasing a car with a loan works. You purchase a car with a loan, the title doesn't go to you, the title goes to the financing company, and the financing company holds onto that title, which provides them the protection on the vehicle until you pay it off. And once you pay it off, the title gets sent to you in the mail. With homes and real estate and land, it's very similar. The only difference is that that title is kept with the Register of Deeds. So the deed is recorded in the central repository in the county that the property is located in. And that document is what controls the ownership of the property. So the deed of trust gets attached to that deed. And until that deed of trust is paid off, it's a cloud on the title, and that property cannot be resold until that lender is paid. Once the lender is paid, instead of getting that title back in the mail, what happens is the lender records a cancellation document with the Register of Deeds canceling that deed of trust. Once that happens, the deed is no longer encumbered by that cloud and the property can be resold. So most of this stuff happens in the background, which is why I think it's not as universally understood. But the great thing about real estate that you don't get with even vehicles is that all of that information is publicly available because there's that central repository. So when you're researching companies and trying to determine, do I want to lend to them? Do I feel like that's a good, use of my money? It's really easy to just do some research for yourself and kind of determine, is this a reputable business? Do they have a presence in the community? And I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that right now. So our company primarily invests in the counties that surround Fort Bragg or Fort Liberty. So that's going to be Cumberland County, Harnett County, Moore, Lee, Hoke. And predominantly, we operate out of Cumberland County and Harnett County. So I'm going to go ahead and go over to the Harnett County Register of Deeds. And depending on what state that you're in, some of this information is going to be easier to access. In North Carolina, we're lucky because all of the information is pretty much available online. Depending on the municipality that you're working with and the state, the information may or may not be available online, but for North Carolina, pretty universally, it's available online. So you'll just go to the online services for the Register of Deeds, and then you can go ahead and search. So we'll do J2M2 Holdings, which is a company that I own. You have to be careful. Sometimes they're set up differently to where you have to select if it's an entity or if it's a human. In Harnett County, it's not like that. So you can just go ahead and put in J2M2 Holdings, select search, and it will pull up all the transactions that are associated with J2M2 Holdings. What I like to do is just go ahead and sort it by date. And that way you have all the newest transactions on top. So when you're looking through here, it can seem confusing at first, but essentially as a lender, you're going to be interested in what's known as the deed of trust. So you can look at a deed is what transfers ownership in the property. The deed of trust is the lending instrument that was utilized to provide funding for that deal. And a satisfaction is what happens when that deed of trust is paid off. So, for example, here's a satisfaction for our company. It was for, I believe it was this transaction. Let me see. Yep. So this is a property that we purchased, that my company purchased in Harnett County. And I'm sorry, this is not the right one. One second. This one. So this is a property that we purchased in Harnett County. Uh, I had a private lender provide the funds for me to close on this property. And so this is the actual deed that transferred ownership to my company. And then at the same time, there would have been a deed of trust recorded. So here it is. You can see it was recorded on the same day. And you can tell that it's tied to the same property because the description is the same. So I'll go ahead and pull that up. And this is the deed of trust. You can tell it was recorded. You want to see this. This is what shows that it's on file with the Register of Deeds. And it shows that my company is purchasing the property. The attorney is the trustee for this deed of trust. And here's the lender. All of this is publicly available online, so there's really no expectation of privacy. And it's my company, so I feel comfortable sharing this. Again, you see that it was submitted electronically by the law firm, so you know that this is a legitimate document that is on file and recorded. So this property was pretty quick. We went in there, we did some, just quick rehabs, updated the property, and put it back on the market. And I think from start to finish, we were probably in and out of it in about 45 days. So you can tell that we bought a property, we had a loan. Well, as a lender, you're going to want to know, well, did they perform? Did they pay it off? So to see that, you would want to look at, are there any satisfactions that have been recorded? And this deed of trust would have told you what the terms were. So you could see, okay, this was a 6-month, loan. It was a 12-month loan. And we come up here and there is a satisfaction here. That's for Pinnacle Bank. So that's not the right satisfaction. Here's another one, and that's for the correct lender. So let's go ahead and select that. And you can see that the satisfaction of security instrument, or the cancellation document, was recorded, showing that my company paid back our lender in full on this date. So you can repeat this process in pretty much any county, especially North Carolina. I believe that in most states you should be able to do this, and you can essentially follow title, follow deeds of trust, and follow satisfactions to determine whether or not this entity or this person that you're looking to lend to is reputable. And you would know if it was a company that's been in existence for a while. You can say, okay, these are all relatively recent. Let's sort it the other way and see how long this company's been around. So it looks like this company started doing business in 2020, and now it's 2023. Let's look to see if are there any foreclosure notices here? Are there any indications that this company has been involved in anything negative? All of that would be available through this site. It would tell you if anything was foreclosed on. It would tell you if there was any kind of legal proceedings that were not favorable. So as you can see, pretty much everything here they're all either deeds of trust, deeds, or they are cancellation documents. So that's one way to do it. And but you may end up working with an entity that was recently formed. That's not a bad thing. I mean, sometimes we create LLCs because there's a specific deal where maybe it just requires us to create a new entity. Well, in that situation, just ask the lender. Say, hey, I understand this is a new entity. Completely got it. What are some other entities that you own that I can look up to make sure that there are no concerns? Maybe look up their personal name. Maybe they have some stuff in their personal name, and they should be able to give you a list of entities that they're involved with, and then you can go repeat that same process. Now, if you want to confirm that, in North Carolina, every state has a Secretary of State. That's where LLC formation documents are filed. So what you can do is you can go here to the North Carolina Secretary of State. You can do a business entity search, and then we'll go ahead and look for J2M2. to see if they're a legitimate company and to see if the company is actually owned or managed by the person that you're having conversations with. Okay, so we see that J2M2 Holdings LLC is a entity that's registered with North Carolina. They're current and active. If you click on this file folder right here, it'll pull up all of their annual reports. And you can see the last one was filed um, in April of 2023, so about 4 months ago. If you download it, you can see that here's my name. I'm the only member. So you know that that person owns that company. It's a legitimate LLC. It's registered with the state, and that's an indication that the company is real. It exists. They're filing their proper documentation with the state, and so that should give some level of confidence. Another example would be maybe there's a company that hasn't been around as long. Here's our other company, Sandhills Real Estate Holdings. You can see that it was just recently, the paperwork was just recently filed with the state. So in this instance, there's not a whole lot of historical information. But you can go to the documents and you can pull out some information. The original documents, when you first record record a company with North Carolina, the information is a little bit different. So if a company's been around for a little bit longer, you can usually glean some additional names and things that you can utilize to do some research. But here you can see that Brett and myself are the owners, and then you could say, okay, this company hasn't been around for a while, so maybe I wouldn't be super comfortable if this was the only thing that existed. But now I can go back and look at, what other companies does Justin and Brett have? Do those companies have a good reputation? And so you can kind of work backwards. And again, any private lender that is, legitimate shouldn't be trying to hide anything from you. I mean, again, it's your money, and you should be doing your own homework. But again, whatever anybody tells you, it's good to be able to have the resources to go back and check for yourself. It also doesn't hurt. We've had people ask us for references. That's great. The best references that you can get are people that have lent before and have, been paid back interest and paid back their principal on time. You can also speak with the attorneys. I don't know, there may be some attorney-client privilege, or I don't know how that works in the real estate world, to be honest with you. But I'm sure that if they can't tell you, there's somebody else that they could refer you to that might be able to tell you, yeah, these guys are great. We work with them all the time. We don't really have any issues. Maybe they can't get into specifics, but they could tell you, hey, there's no red flags, or hey, maybe you want to do a little bit more homework. So this is really important when you're first starting off your relationship with a company. But as you get more familiar with them, at the base of private lending, it's really about trust. Do you trust the person that you are lending the money to? Because ultimately, anybody can give you a list, an Excel sheet with a bunch of numbers. The numbers could be right, they could be wrong. But the past history and performance is what doesn't lie. If they have a proven record and they are reputable, ultimately that's what matters, their reputation. Because one bad deal, one lender that doesn't get paid, that can destroy a company's entire reputation. So it is a lot about trust. A lot of the lenders that we work with, we always want to do things with a deed of trust and a promissory note, and record that with the county and make sure that our private lenders have the level of protection that they feel comfortable with. But there are some relationships that we've built and nurtured over time to where we just do the promissory note. We just do a promissory note, we sign it, and that's that. But that happens over time, and some lenders, will never get to that point, and that's fine. If it was my money and I was lending it out to even somebody that I had a close relationship with, I would want that protection. I would want to know that there's a deed of trust. I would want to know that it's recorded with the Register of Deeds, and that everything is accessible and publicly available. So I hope this was helpful. Brett and I would be happy to jump on a phone call with you and walk through it some more if you have questions. Even if you're not looking to lend with us, we're happy to share any insight that we have. If you have any questions, again, you can reach out to us on our website. That's www.sandhillsreh.com, or you can email us at sandhillsholdings, SANDHILLSHOLDINGS @gmail.com.